Cool. Welcome, welcome. Jan and Roger here with our talk about intuition as promised. I hear myself twice. This is something special. But that's okay. So intuition, I wrote in the description that we all have it. Just a matter if we're using it, if we're listening to it continuously. But Roger is going to share the message of today. Do you want me to put it on the screen first?
You can, yeah. It would be helpful for them. Yeah, that would be great. It would be helpful for them to see it. And then if anyone, I don't know if anyone's going to watch live or anything, but if they do, they can also, if a question comes in, if we have time, I don't want it to go too long, but I can probably answer a question if it comes through.
Cool. I will check that in. There's something going on with my microphone today. I don't know. I will check that in the chat and I
Okay.
share my screen. Sharing screen. There we go. Cool. You want to read?
No. If
Okay, I
I
can.
don't, okay, perfect.
Easy. July 29th, 2023. You can heal. We mean you and your world, for they are the same. But when you decide to engage in your healing, not only do you live that life you always envision, but it provides you with the ability to recognize and utilize your innate gifts. When you come to the physical plane, you do so with the agreements you accept of the challenges and difficulties you might move through, but also with the potential of evolving as you never thought possible. And it is the same for your world, but that requires your linear time. So we gave you a message on this date in 2012. There we go. Or 2012. The more of you who accept this message, the faster you and your world will heal. But the bonus for you will be your freedom and regaining your ability to love yourself. Excel in every imaginable way. It is also the reason for our live conversation next week. We want you to accept and appreciate every aspect of you. Any judgment you hold about another merely reflects some particular judgment you hold about yourself. The reason other person shows up in your physical life experience is so you might have the opportunity to practice forgiveness. That sounds a little bit weird. I read it again. The reason other person shows up in your physical life experience is so you might have the opportunity to practice forgiveness. There we go. Now it feels better. While initially you think you are granting, so to speak, that forgiveness to the other, you are actually giving that forgiveness to yourself. When you remember that any form of judgment is merely a limitation blocking your current moment awareness, you can then see greater awareness, which is your desired expansion, Wilhelm. And there is a full moon channeling session coming up on August 1st, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. You find it on rogerburnley.com. All right. I see he has his eyes closed, so we're going into a channeling, I think.
Yes, we are. And we're
And
so pleased that you've invited us
beautiful.
here. And we want to speak to everyone. And we want you to understand why we said you can heal, because it's a choice that you each made. And we couldn't have planned this better, that this talk would be an intuition, because you each have it. And it is something that is within you. It is your mindset, is your consciousness, and it develops over time. This is why we have given you these messages over the years, because you don't accept them all at once. But we are gearing up for your full moon on August 1st, because it's going to be a powerful one. And we want you to understand what is occurring. The more of you who decide to love yourself, the more of you who decide to become the successes that you could be, because that's the potential that's in there. But we understand many of you have been afraid and you've been doubting yourselves, because those are the energies of your universe right now, but they are for a grand purpose. And that purpose is for you to thrive, for you to become who you were meant to become. We know it seems scary out there for a lot of the conditions that are going on in the world, but that's why you're here. You exist at this time in your world so that you can thrive. And we've given you guidance all along the way. And sometimes you don't accept that. Even our messenger couldn't accept that we had done this, but we've been guiding you for decades. But we specifically did it beginning in 2012 because your world was going to be moving through a huge transition, and you're doing it now. And you have about another more than a year to go. So it'll look a little crazy, but when you decide to become happy, when you decide to live the life that you wanted to have and bring in your gifts, because you all have them, you just doubt them because of that intuition thing. But we want you to understand something else. The reason we gave you this message is to understand that the current turmoil that you're experiencing in your world is generational, and you each carry it. You each carry limitations and restrictions that you've brought in from, you don't have to remember other lives, that doesn't matter. You just can feel it in this life. And so the more that you decide that you're going to move through your fear, your anger, your doubt, your blame, all of those lower vibrational energies, then you create something different in your lives, and then you have a different world. And the thing that we'll leave you with this, because we're giving you all of this on our full moon conversation, because we're going to answer more of your questions then, but we want you to understand that what you will see, because we've talked about the United States, you will see more disruption, but that disruption is to cause healing. That disruption is to cause awareness. That disruption is to cause more truth to come through, and you each possess it. And we know that it's you, otherwise you would have never heard us, because you've never been in an accidental place in your lives. But that's what we wanted to give you today, and we wanted you to understand why we gave you the message. There are no accidents. And as we gave that message, had our messenger Roger write that this morning, then he sees another a messenger giving a talk on Next Level Soul, the YouTube channel, where we had our guide give his message, and the synchronicity could not be more clear, because Jarne was connected to this person. We're speaking of synchronicity because we've also been speaking of Carl Jung for so long, because many of you will understand that you bring in consciousness and it develops over time, and you all have access to it should you choose to allow it to come into your awareness. But we will be gentle with you now, because we know it takes time for you to accept all of this. And as you accept more, you will see changes occurring in your world. But it'll be a little scary for some of you. But there are many of you here who know what's happening, and you are the ones that we want to call out even more, because we need you to shine. That's all we'll have to say today. But thank you so much for having us here.
Thank you. And it was very short and very precise, as mentioned. Thank you so much.
I'll hear it later. I have bits
It's
of it.
beautiful. Mm-hmm. You, how long are you channeling for now?
You mean the live channel? Well, no, I haven't. I only did this. I only started doing live channeling in 2021 because I knew I had to. I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it before. Now, the automatic writing I've been doing since 1988, so I've done that forever. But let me just explain. In 2020, my communications began to change, and I began receiving different information. And then I was told that we gave you everything you needed to know to move through this change in your world, which they called a restructuring. And then they said it was in 2012, which was really something that was challenging for me to believe. And then I go and I find the messages that I open up from 2012 in one folder, and they were all mindset. Was how I changed my life. It would have it's how I healed everything. It's how I transformed. So it would have had to have worked, but still accepting that it happened out of time, that I received that information beforehand was
Yeah.
difficult for me, just like a lot of people are having difficulty believing of their intimate connection and all the gifts that they have.
How who we are today, when I saw the video live, I was waiting for it. As she mentioned, she is being interviewed by Alex as well.
Mhm.
And it takes courage to do that. It really does, because the collective is not yet dialed in completely, but we're going there, and the right people will always receive the message that you guys have to give.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The one thing that my Wilhelm, and it's come out in several of the live sessions. First of all, anybody who would go back and listen to the sessions, I think that the ones that are online go back to like a year and a half or something. But if you were listening to some of the old sessions, everything that's occurring in the world now was talked about in one of those sessions. It was, and it's just, we come to understand it later. But if we take the time to go into who we are, access that information, that intuition, which is what we're talking about, because we all have it. And that's why meditation and mindfulness, it comes through. If we were able to do that, we would see very different energies in our world, and we would experience very different lives.
Generally, when we start listening and proper listening, I believe then is when we do access our intuition. And then our intuition, in my opinion, is our inner God, our God voice. It's God talking to us. And if we follow that voice, or in a degree, sometimes it can be a guide, it can be a messenger, though the guides can be God sent as well, as they are you and you are them, and you signed up to experience this life together. As she said as well, like, they signed up a contract, she signed up a contract to work together in this lifetime to spread the message that they do have to deliver. And I find it's fascinating how what I'm speaking, what she channels. This synchronicity for me, again, is insane. I was listening to the words that she was channeling, and I believe that I do speak those words, or I do channel those words when I'm speaking with people. It's beautiful to see for me.
There's a universal consciousness, which I call cosmic consciousness, which is the information that I was able to access. And when you access that, it's a completely different world. It's what I was able to use. And this is in some of the earlier channeling sessions, people can hear that, but they talked about the fact that the first part of my life was moving through every horrible thing that I possibly could have. I couldn't have gotten this information or even shown any proof of it unless I could be who I am now and my age and all of that, and having moved through every difficulty. This is why they had me talk about Carl Jung also, because when I discovered, and anyone who might find this, to listen to The Undiscovered Self or read it. It's available anywhere, but that's by Carl Jung. And when you listen to that, you would think that it was being written today, but it was actually released in 1958. But we repeat cycles in our civilization. We're moving through a big one now that no one has moved through. So what should I look? It's different, but he gives us all this information that could help, that we could utilize, which most people have. But the funny thing was, I never did this before, but I went to Wikipedia, and this is something that we can all think about. And I looked him up on Wikipedia, and how they give different details about someone's life. And they say, okay, he was influenced by all of these other people. And they list all the other people he was influenced by. And then below that, then they list who he influenced. That's what we all do, because we live lives at this one particular time. But what we choose to do is something that's going to remain. It's going to be either become a legacy that we're going to leave for the world. But when we can access it, our lives become quite different. And so, and the funny thing is, I never studied any Carl Jung. I never did any of that, because all of mine came in a different way, which was another thing that was explained in so many other, that goes into ancient history. We don't need that anyway. But this was what I wanted to talk about in terms of intuition today.
Yes, you can still hear me, right? I did some changes
Yes.
in cool, awesome.
Yes.
Because now I don't hear myself twice any longer. And
Oh,
this
good.
is awesome. But I now, stop hearing myself. Before this, I hear myself talking, and then I could always see like how it sounds, but now this is way more comfortable.
Okay.
I was reading the message and I was listening to myself twice. It was quite challenging. It was like a few
Yes, I know
milliseconds
that one.
delay. Oh, wow. So yeah, but my intuition said keep going, and it was
Mhm.
fine. Yeah, I think, yeah, you mentioned game changer, and then we can wrap it up slowly. But it's a game changer once you start listening to yourself. And what would you say, because I know that many people have difficulties to know how to listen to themselves or who they are, like
Mhm.
to strengthen their intuitive abilities, what would you say can they do to do that?
Well, it's so challenging because, first of all, you have to accept, this is why I wanted to, I think why all the message came through in the way that it does. We have different levels of understanding of consciousness and all of that. And we have different evolutionary paths that we have within us.
Mm-hmm.
And we've carried all kinds of energies throughout. And sometimes it's difficult to break through all of that to access a higher level of understanding or awareness, but you can do it. And the reason, let me talk about this, because I put a lot of this into that little program I created called Finding Answers Within, where I just talked about how I did this and how I started. But in the beginning, the only reason that I even started doing automatic writing is because I was desperate to find some solution, to find some answers. And I read an article from someone else who was doing this and got some help. So I said, let me try it. Didn't happen right away. It took me days before anything started coming through, probably because I didn't trust it. I didn't believe it could happen. And then when I finally calmed down and just listened and I stayed I stayed persistent, let's say. I was going to be determined to find it. But then when it came through, and I want people to understand this, it frightened me at first. And a lot of people might be experiencing that now, because many people are awakening to something within them that they've never experienced, some other spiritual
Yeah.
awareness or something, and it can sometimes feel uncomfortable. And it was that in the beginning, but then it still was that for many years, because I didn't tell people, even though I'm changing my life. It was this disconnect. We fear judgment so much that we don't talk about the experiences that we're having, and that, our
I'm
sovereignty, so to speak.
I'm putting myself on the hot seat now, and I'm called to speak it out loud, to give
Oh,
myself
good.
the accountability. I'm going to go live speaking in German about my new self, about the challenges that I'm facing and the encounters that I'm now having with the people that know me in a different way when I haven't spoken up.
Mhm.
And I feel that I have to share with them in a way to, like, in German, talking about those topics and who I am, what I'm doing, how I
Mhm.
perceive the world, how I perceive the challenges that we are facing, how I perceive the challenges that I am facing, to really give them a understanding of what I'm doing, because I still feel there is a certain bridge that I want to build. And I want to help, I want to serve, I want to help as many as I can awaken. And in the in the football team that I'm in now, they're very good-hearted people, right? Many of them, they're very good men. And
Mhm.
it's for me to like, I mean, I'm taking it slowly, but how can I mean, they see what I'm doing. I
Mhm.
really learn to just do, right? Say less, do more, and then kind of try to show or give my best to show how I live my life.
Mhm.
And I do have to listen to certain comments and jokes about me, and
Mhm.
there is really some energies to balance. And I recorded a video for the diary that I'm doing currently on the hill when I just before I got on here.
Mhm.
And I said that I'm seeing like to what degree I am allowing myself to be with people,
Mhm.
because I love soccer, I love exercising, I love to be fit, to stay fit, I love community, and I love them. Though I want to be mindful what I do consume, right?
Mhm.
And I want to consume truth. Don't want to consume sarcastic jokes all day, every day, right? And this is what they do. Like they're super sarcastic, they're shitting on each other, they're making jokes about each other and fun and laughing, but like there's no real foundation behind those
Mhm.
jokes. So it's very different to it always has been different, though now I'm realizing that what am I that I have to first take care of my own energy. And like I mean I don't have much small talk. I do can have relationships with them in a way, right? Also out of a spiritual journey in this world. This is okay. Though what am I doing now with my next steps? This is what I'm
I mean,
figuring out.
oh, you did something. They want me, my guys want you to read a message because and again, this is from 2012. I don't, I can, let me share, can I share the screen? Or if you give me, if you go to your,
I can. Security,
yeah.
share screen.
And
Yes.
then and then what I'll do is I'll have you read it because they said, oh, just go to this one. Okay.
Now you break up. Oh, there we go.
Okay, let me get rid of this. Okay, there.
Okay. September 29th, 2012. What you might perceive to be any type of criticism directed your way can be used to your benefit when you decide to embrace it. You would not even perceive anything said to you to be criticism unless there's something there for you to gain, therefore you gain value. Therefore
To
you
gain value. To
to
gain
gain
value.
value. Yes, cool. You will gain that value through your own self-assessment. You will examine what is said, determine if any of it has merit or not, or what you might accept as truth, and decide you would like to change, or you will discard it as having no value for you currently. And in that case, you walk away with greater appreciation of you. Either way, you always benefit when you decide to not ignore it. Yeah, Wilhelm, this is what I do. This is
That's
this is the thought process that I have when I'm sitting in this. And I do smile,
right.
right? I do smile. I just do. I just do, but it's fascinating, right? And I see this is like after a week already such great changes. And it is for me to listen to my intuition, to bring it
Mhm.
back to the topic. And this is exactly it, that when I listen to my intuition, I see everything that happens for me has a purpose, right? Everything helps me to grow, to expand, to gain more wisdom, really to become more wise and to act in that way as well. Like, who do I want to be, right? For me, it is a representation of the Christ, right? A new modern age, new age, yes. But I want to represent the Christ consciousness. I want to represent knowledge of God, and I want to talk from that place, right? And I have a way to go. but I do catch myself in one or the other way, though it is the program that we're overcoming, and then really just to be kind with ourselves and to feel in, okay, yeah, what's my next step? This is how I'm currently proceeding. But it's a beautiful message. Thanks guides. Thanks guides for sharing.
The
Awesome.
only difficulty that any of us have is self-belief. That's the only difficulty that any single soul has, because we were all born with something to offer the world, but it's a process of developing that. And that self-belief is the last thing. And so that message was saying, when you can look at criticism and decide to examine it and say, does it mean anything? Do I need to change? No, it doesn't mean somebody else's stuff. And now I feel better because I've come to accept myself, which is a continual process. So that was brilliant. Thank
Yes,
you.
it was, and it is one of many. It's so good. Yeah, thanks everyone. There is the channeling session on the 1st, but which day is it?
Right. That's Tuesday. Tuesday here in the US. So yeah, I mean, well, first everywhere, but it's for us it'll be Tuesday at 11:30 Pacific Standard Time. But again, I want people to register, because we will send the replay to everyone, because it'll be one that people will want to listen to and understand, because everything will be revealed on that day.
And even if you are live, you can ask questions and get your questions answered. So if you watch this video now and you have any questions of what came up, you can even bring that question with you, and it's going to be answered in the live Q&A.
Right. And thank you for that. And they can, and when they register, if they can't even be there, they can send a question beforehand too, and I can do it. And during the session, what we're doing now, I don't have people live on I mean, their questions are live, but then Stan reads the question, because I don't want to know who it is. I don't want to know gender. I want to know nothing. I just want to read their energy and answer from that place. So great.
So it'll be totally anonymous for everyone else who is listening there. Your name is not being mentioned, and you can ask whatever you feel like. And if it might be something like we had really questions that people would be very horrified of asking, because people did remember having killed lots of people in their past lives and having been a murderer, as an example, and those types of things can come up as well. So don't be shy or anything like that to ask a heavy question for you. Like if you think it's a heavy question, let's lift that up and make something beautiful out of it. Yes.
One of the fun things that's happened as a result of this, I will meet with people afterwards and they'll tell me that they asked a question, which of course I don't remember. I don't know anything about it, but then they'll tell me, oh, it made sense and it worked for them. And then they went on and did something, which is the most rewarding thing ever.
It is beautiful.
No.
I believe so. It's awesome. So yeah, I will guide a meditation at the beginning, and Roger is going to channel his guides, and they will come through then.
Are you going to be there?
Q&A. I believe so. I will do that.
Oh wow, yeah. That's gonna be. Oh wow, that's
let me check now. Let me check now.
It's the middle of the night for you.
That's okay. Let's see. It is the full moon. No, it's 8:30 p.m. Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I forgot.
I'm not in Australia anymore.
I know. I keep thinking about your old time. Oh, perfect. Oh, good. Because I had to. Oh, this is going to be good then. Oh, perfect. Great. Okay.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Roger Burnley. And you find everything on rogerburnley.com that you need to find. rogerburnley.com. And higher states on Telegram is what I want to say. Join me on Telegram. You won't miss out on much. Or you will miss out on much if you don't join, and you won't miss out on much in my life if you are in that Telegram group. So I have to state that right. With my charisma, with the charismatic self that I do have. Okay, cool. Everyone, thanks for watching. Peace out.